All right. Okay, everybody ready? All right. Good afternoon. I'm Lisa Olson, Vice President of Public Affairs and a member of the senior management team. We really want to thank you again for coming out today to get a progress report. We've been communicating with you often throughout the day, but we also thought we'd kind of do a recap at the end of the day and next steps for tomorrow. A quick safety briefing. You know, we're a safety organization. We are, again, we want everybody to stay aware from down power lines. We know that many of you have been out in the field, so be careful of your surroundings and make sure, because we want you to be safe as well as the public. So do not approach it, and make sure that you can report the down wires on OPPD.com or via our app at 1-800-554-6773. Today's event is being live streamed and recorded. A link to this event is available at OPPD.com. We did have quite a few viewers yesterday, so thank you again. Please note that we have invited media to attend this conference in person. And Javier Fernandez, President and CEO, will speak and give you an update. And we also have Steve Fanslaw, who is part of our customer service organization and has been out in the field as well. So thank you for coming. Be safe. And here's President and CEO Javier Fernandez.
Thank you, Lisa. Thank you all for attending. It's been an extremely busy, extremely intense last 72 hours here at OPPD, and I am sure it has been as intense and disruptive for a lot of our customer owners. Thanks again for joining us today. We've been communicating with you, our customers, continually on stormandoutage.com and on social media. And to many of you in the media, including those media outlets who are here today with us. This is just one more opportunity for us to connect with you, our customer owner. We are aware that there are opportunities to diversify our communication channels and to provide more level of detail about your particular situation. We are hearing that loud and clear. It is definitely something that is top of mind, and it's something that we have been planning and we will continue to plan to and execute to improve. We hope that you and your families continue to be safe and well. We are nearing the end of another 24 hours of restoration, and we want to give you an update on our efforts and challenges. So here's where we're at. OPPD made steady progress today. As of 3:15 p.m., currently more than 150,000 customers' power has been restored since the peak of 188,000 outages at the onset of the storm. We also know that as of 3:15 p.m., approximately 31,000 customers are still without power. Very aware of that. For those of you still without power, we know this feels very frustrating. No doubt about it. Yesterday, we told you that the work today and the rest of the week would be more complex. The more we advance, the trickier it gets. We're getting into backyards and alleyways, and it gets more complex for us to restore power. That has proven to be true. The goal we put out late yesterday was that by 11:59 p.m. tonight, we would have 95% of customers restored. Now, with a better idea of what the remaining challenges look like, we think we will hit 90% restoration by 11:59 p.m. tonight. Our goal for tomorrow continues to be approaching 99% restoration by 11:59 p.m. tomorrow. Now, this afternoon, we sent an email or an automated call to approximately 10,000 customers, letting them know that they should expect power to be restored yet tonight. So if there are some of you who might be watching live who may have gotten that call or that email, letting you know to expect power to be restored yet tonight. That's an additional 10,000 customers that we're working on right now. We also send out an email or an automated call to 21,000 customers for them not to expect power restored tonight. Within that group of 21,000, we will also be proactively communicating with just under 2,000 customers who we believe have significant damage that will take the longest to repair. Those customers should expect to receive communication from us later today. Just to let them know to expect a much longer recovery. Let me tell you why that last 1% or about 2,000, under 2,000 customers could potentially take longer. From our assessments, we are seeing far more individual customer electrical equipment damage than from past storms. The weather and tree limbs have caused damage that may have torn meter infrastructure from customers' homes or property. This damage may require an outside electrician to complete work before service can be reconnected. This is complex. It will require both OPPD to continue to work on our system, but also from the customer to be proactive and get help to restore damage done to their property. This is a partnership, and we will be approaching that as such and really proactively contacting those customers who we believe will be in that situation. We are working with our community partners and the city to ensure we can offer names of trusted electricians and resources to our customers. Oftentimes, we believe those electricians may not have enough parts to address this issue. So we are mobilizing our own workforce to make sure that we're facilitating that and really helping the electrical worker part of the work and helping our customer owner in those under 2,000 instances where more work may need to be completed. Now, the work ahead of us remains complex, and we still are not letting up. No matter what, we will continue to work around the clock with plenty of support to restore all the outages. Let me tell you, numbers are important to me, and this is just amazing. I understand if you don't have power yet, you haven't seen what these numbers really can do for you and for the region. But it is important for me to share that all OPPD crews are out now. They have been out for the past 3 days, along with crews from outside of OPPD, other neighboring utilities, other electrical companies that have lent their hand, and really they have not stopped working on restoring power. Nearly 700 people working nonstop to restore your power, and we are expecting to add 30 more additional tree trimming crews that will arrive later today. We believe that's approximately 100 more people. We've never had that many people working out on the field restoring power. We've never had these many people working to restore your power because we've never really had that many customers out at the same time. I do want to note that we know it can be encouraging to see a crew in your neighborhood, and you may want to speak with them. I'm going to ask you to please refrain from doing so. They are likely very focused on restoration work or working within their vehicles. The work they're doing is dangerous. They need to be concentrated. They need to be coordinating with a lot of people around the organization to make sure that they stay safe. Yesterday I mentioned that what's unique about this storm was both its intensity and its widespread nature. We are still dealing with restoration across all areas. One of the questions I continue to get is there a specific neighborhood or a specific spot in our service territory that is hurting more? And the answer is no, it's all across. We first, as I told you a couple of days ago, we first focused on restoring hospitals, public works, and critical infrastructure. Next, we prioritized work to restore power to the most amount of people possible. We had large circuits where we knew that restoring a large circuit could restore and bring power to a lot of customers at the same time. We started prioritizing that way. We do not prioritize based on specific areas or parts of town. Let me repeat that once again. We do not prioritize recovery based on specific areas or parts of town. Again, we look at the work that we can most quickly and safely restore to the most amount of people. There's rumors and there's perception that we may favor one area over the other. Let me be clear, we do not do that. That is not our practice. It doesn't matter whether you're a high-level politician or you're an OPPD employee. We have many OPPD employees without power. We're prioritizing our work based on how many people we can bring online as fast as we can and as safe as we can. Work that is the most complex to restore, as I mentioned just a few minutes ago, which often has seen significant damage from downed limbs and debris, it takes the most time. This often means that heavily treated areas with overhead power lines that have sustained damage are the most complex and will take the longest time to restore. I have been personally listening to every voicemail and message that our teams have shared with me and my executive leadership team. And it is important for me to hear firsthand from our customer owners who are frustrated by the time it has taken to restore their power. It is very, very important for me to hear directly from you. And believe me, trust me, I have been listening to every single voicemail and reading every message that has been forwarded to me. I've heard everything from elders at home, medical equipment, people with insulin that is going bad, food on refrigerators and freezers, newborns, etc. I know the pain you're going through, and I believe me, there's 1,900 of us who know that pain and know that it is real, and we are not letting go until your power has been restored as quickly and as safely as we possibly can. Once again, I want to thank the women and men at OPPD who have been working tirelessly since the beginning of this event. We're going now into 72 hours and very little rest. We're trying to make sure that our crews and our people get good rest and they stay safe, but it has been work nonstop around the clock. I want to thank you, our customers, for your patience, your grace. We understand it's a long time, and for some of you it may be still a little bit longer. We want to thank you for your understanding and for your support, and with that, we'll be happy to take any questions that you may have.
And Jody Baker, who's going to facilitate this.
Thanks, Javier. I'm Jody Baker, Media Specialist for OPPD. I want to thank the media who are present here for coming out and listening to what we had to say in our restoration progress update. And we have time for a few questions. I'll start in the front row here with Nancy Garter, Omaha World Herald. Nancy, what's your question?
I know this is like the worst storm. Can you also talk about the types of damage that you're seeing? I'm thinking now the 97 storm when lots of tops of trees were broken off. But are you seeing any more large trees down or?
And to repeat the question, Nancy is wondering about comparisons to, past storms like the 1997 October storm and what kind of damage we're seeing, including tree damage, not just the quantity, but the type of damage we're seeing.
Yeah, that's a great question. I believe it will be the largest storm measured by number of customers out. Our service territory has grown since 1997, so we have a lot more customers, and also the storm is affecting a lot more homes and infrastructure. In terms of damage, it's very similar. It's large trees, it's trees down, sometimes limbs, sometimes entire trees down, crushing homes and blocking streets. So it is similar. Let me tell you what's not similar, and I think this is something I was not here back in 1997, but I hear from a lot of OPPD teams that were here. It's the type of coordination that we have today at OPPD is significantly better. We had a great team back in 1997. We learned a lot of lessons back then. We have actually learned many lessons more from other storms we've had in 2008, in 2017, Father's Day tornado event. We have continued to learn and integrate and respond faster. We have today more customers. We had, as of Saturday morning, more customers out, and we've been able to recover, to restore their power a lot faster than we have ever done before. So this is really the work of OPPD's women and men working to always improve and do things better. I understand there are many customers who are not pleased. Their power is still out, and they wish they could have better information, more detailed information about their situation, and we will continue to be working towards that goal. But I can tell you today unequivocally that the work we're doing today is better coordinated and a much faster and safer response than we've had in the past.
Thanks for that question. We'll continue to take one question per media outlet.
Why don't we go ahead and have Steve Fanslau, would you mind just speaking really quickly about some of the routes and what you're seeing out?
Steve Fanslaw here with OPPD.
Hi, Steve Fanslaw, OPPD. So what we're seeing out in the field is, like Javier said, tremendous tree damage. That is the challenge that we're having today. We've called in forestry help from 5 different states, and we're up to about 111 total forestry crews that'll be here tomorrow. That's about 10 more crews than we have here today. And that tells us that the extent of the damage is caused due to the trees, large trees. The difference in 97, which I was here for, is that was an October storm. The trees still had leaves on them. It was snow and ice built up on the trees and brought trees down. What we experienced Saturday is this 95-mile-an-hour straight wind, and mostly in the metro area, and I don't say mostly in the metro area where all this large tree damage is happening. You can see the photos that we have going on behind us, that some of that wind damage was not caused by trees. It was simple, poles snapping and things like that. So But the amount of tree damage is incredible. So that's what's causing the challenge for us right now.
Can you up from 11 to 111, like 10 times as many crew people?
Okay, Nancy's asking again about the number of crew people and how they compare versus previous.
This time you said we have 111. Did you understand my question?
Yeah, I did.
I want to make sure I got you.
For tree crews, Nancy?
Yeah, today compared to yesterday, whatever.
Yeah.
She's asking about numbers today compared to yesterday with tree crews, just for those
Correct.
listening at home.
Yeah, thank you. So thanks for clearing that up. But what we're adding 10 more additional forestry crews to our already 101 forestry crews that are here today.
And for those of you watching remotely who need a spelling, Fanslau, Fanslau. Thanks, Steve. All right, we're going to move toward the back. If you could just raise your hand if you have a question. Over here to KMTV, please.
I know you said you're not prioritizing any area, but according to your outage maps, both percentage-wise and customers being affected, North Omaha and off the Air Force Base are the most affected areas. What's preventing you from getting those customers' power back on when, West Omaha and certain other parts of Omaha are already restored?
Okay, and the question is about areas, and understanding that we don't prioritize any one area over another, that there seem to be discrepancies over certain areas that have a lot more damage than other areas. Javier?
Yeah, thank you for the question. So what we are prioritizing is number of customers that we can bring back the fastest and the safest. Naturally, there will be some areas where that is not possible, depending on the extent of the damage, and there are areas where there are a lot of individual residences that have sustained damage, where we will have to come in and fix and help restore power to one or two customers at a time. We are getting there. We will get to every single last customer, but what we have been prioritizing is on volume, making sure that we're trying to bring as many people back up as possible. What you're probably seeing in the map is a correlation to the geography, the topography, the type of trees that are in the area, and the complexity of the restoration. But again, a myth that I would like to dispel is that no one at OPPD is saying, let's go to that neighborhood first or that neighborhood last. It's how many we can restore as fast as we can.
Thank you. More questions? KETV?
Yes, we've heard a lot of complaints that tree maintenance seems to have been dialed back a little bit in recent years. Has OPPD cut back on the amount of money spent on tree trimming? And if so, was that part of the reason why this has been so significant?
Okay, the comment is that there have been a lot of complaints that perhaps tree trimming had been scaled back in recent years. And are we receiving, information or complaints based upon that being an issue? Is that correct?
Is that true?
Is that true, number one?
And if so,
Is that why?
is that why?
Is that why we've had such significant damage?
That is
Javier?
I'd like to add there, that's a perfect one for Javier, being CFO and now CEO, so he can give you
Yeah.
the numbers.
So great question. Thank you for that. So in my previous role, just a few weeks ago, I was still the CFO for the organization. I can tell you, a little over 3 years ago, we had very intense and detailed discussions with our executive leadership team about funding for tree trimming. And I am very happy and proud to report that we've actually increased the funding for tree trimming with the goal of reducing the frequency by which we reach trees and we trim trees. There's a frequency that we wanted to shorten, make sure that we're getting to cycles of trees faster. And to do so, we increased funding about 3 years ago over what we were already spending, and we have continued our commitment to that investment. We have already started seeing the effects of those investments in that under normal circumstances, not this storm being an outlier, we have seen a shorter duration of outages as a direct correlation of our increased tree trimming budget. So we have increased tree trimming. I've also been talking to our teams, and I've asked, okay, so all of this tree trimming we've been doing, what has it done for us in this storm? And it might be hard to correlate those things because we have a lot of customers out, and it's taken us a long time to restore. But I can tell you, part of what my team is telling me is, had we not done and increased the tree trimming activity a few years ago, we would have had significantly more damage, and it would have taken us a lot longer to restore because we would have had complete trees down more than what we have today, whereas now the damage that we have to control is less than if we hadn't had that additional tree trimming. So great question. We very proud of the work we did and the decisions we made back then to increase budget for tree trimming.
And Javier, I also think it's important for the public to know that it is important for you to go ahead and trim your trees in your particular area as well, each season or as frequently as you need, but that is helpful as well.
More questions? KPTM?
You had mentioned at the, towards the beginning of this news conference that, your goal for 11:59 tomorrow is to have, 99% back online. If you happen to fall short of that goal, what would you like the public to know? What would your message be?
And the question is, in regards to our goal to have 99% of those impacted customers restored by 11:59 p.m. tomorrow, should we happen to fall short, what would our message to customers be? Javier?
Yeah, great. Thank you. Thank you for the question. The message will be we are putting safety first. Very, very important. We have line workers, men and women out there cutting trees and working on lines that need to do their work safely. And so part of what could slow us down, and if we don't hit that 99% mark tomorrow, it could very well be because as we're going in and going into people's backyards and alleyways, we start finding out that the work it's more complex. It may require a little bit more time to plan. I have received voicemails and messages of customers who are telling me, hey, I saw an OPPD crew and we saw the tree crews, they were in my backyard and then they left. What happened? Well, I would be confused too, and I sympathize with that. And probably what's been happening is as our crews go into the backyards and start assessing the situation, they realize that there's probably more equipment or more information they need before they can safely perform their jobs. So that would be probably the biggest reason why, if we don't hit 99% by tomorrow, it'll be safety related, making sure that we can complete the job safely.
Thank you. More questions? KMTV?
I know you mentioned, I think just under 2,000 customers that have more significant damage. Can you kind of explain that a little bit? Is that to their personal property that they're gonna have to fund to get fixed? Is OPPD taking care of that? How is that gonna work?
The question is with regards to the approximately 2,000 or so customers that have more extensive damage. What's the nature of that damage? Why is it more difficult?
Okay.
Steve,
Thanks,
Stanislav?
Jody. Yeah, so something like that would be a horrendous structural damage to the service point of these homes or businesses. So in an overhead area, if you have a mast arm that's coming up out of your roof where our service wire goes into, and that mast arm just got totally ripped off the house by a tree damaging it. So that would be substantial structural damage to the electrical system to that residence. So that takes more time, electricians, maybe construction work, some aesthetic things that need to be done to that service point. So that's what that would mean.
Did that answer your question?
I guess, is there any, is the business owner then and the homeowner responsible for paying those fines to get power back on when it's something that could take weeks and weeks to get power back on?
Yeah.
Okay, and the question again is, if the business or homeowner is responsible then for the electrician work to pay for that before power can be restored, that sort of thing?
Yeah,
Steve?
so anything after the meter, so after our service point comes in, is a responsibility of that property owner, whether it's a commercial property or a residential property.
Okay.
Helping up on her, is it your expectation that all these homeowners will be able to get their electricians out there to fix their masts and that you'll be able to get power connected to them by Friday midnight? Or is it your expectation that you'll have fixed everybody you can fix by midnight and that you'll be waiting for private electricians to finish the rest and that you'll be doing it next week too?
Okay, the question from the World Herald is it our expectation that by Friday, all customers will be restored, regardless of whether or not they need that private electrical work done, or if that is saying that OPPD has done the work it can up to this point, and that the rest is on the home or property owner?
That's a great question. It is the latter. We expect that by Friday, the majority of our customer owners will have their power restored. Even those who will have to contact their own electricians or contractors to repair, and us coming in and repairing our side of the system, we expect that the majority will be restored by Friday. And that is one of the reasons why we understand, finding an electrician Finding construction workers might be hard, and that is one of the reasons why at OPPD we're working really hard to facilitate and providing lists of recommended electrician companies that we have contracted with in the past, and we are actively working with them to ensure that they have access to the right parts, to the right volume of parts, to expedite that type of work. Now, it is possible, in the case of big damage homes that, trees completely fell on those homes, that I would say that's unrealistic for us to expect that power to be restored by Friday, because there's, if a tree fell on your roof, that might be a little harder. But by and large, I would say that the majority of our customers were expecting that power to be back by Friday or so.
Okay, thanks. KETV, you had a question?
Yeah, as we go more and more into this and people still haven't gotten their power restored, frustration's starting to kind of build up, especially with the fact that the weather's gonna get a little bit warmer over the next couple of days. How are you dealing with this frustration, and how are you trying to kind of quell it?
The question is, as we get deeper into this, knowing that frustration is building, understandably, how are we addressing that to quell that with the challenges facing everyone right now?
That's a great question, something that we've been spending a lot of time in the past 48 hours discussing. So we are partnering with many organizations who are providing cooling centers and maybe other resources in the organization. But let me tell you what we're doing at OPPD, and this is an instruction that I have given to all of my teams, which is I would err on the side of caution. That is one of the reasons why we are today proactively reaching out to those customers who we believe their power may be out until the end of the week. It is possible that their power may come back earlier. That is a risk that I am willing to take. But I want to make sure that if we have good information to let us believe that their power may be out towards the end of the week, we want to let them know so that they can make arrangements, so that they can go to relatives' homes or do whatever they need to do to withstand the additional heat that we're expecting later in the week. But I need you and our customer owners to know that is a purposeful change, a change in communications that we're making to our customer owners, precisely because we're thinking about them, their safety and their comfort. And we may make mistakes. We may contact people whose power may come back tonight. That's a risk that I'm willing to take, but I would rather err on the side of caution and contact those who we believe their power will be out a little longer.
Is this the first time OPPD's been able to personally contact first outage you've been able to personally contact people and say this is when we think you're gonna get back on?
The question is this the first time we've had an outage, a major outage, a widespread outage, where we can contact every customer that is among, I guess, the least likely to be restored soon? Is this the first time we've been able to reach out to them directly?
I
Steve?
wouldn't say this is the first time, Nancy. This, in the most recent history, we have automated mechanisms in place now where we can send out automated calls or automated text. We use that information we're able to do that information based on the information that the customer gives us that's attached to their account. So in storms past, 10, 12 years ago, no, we didn't have that capability, but today we do.
Right. More questions, KMTV?
We have crews that are out. We have a lot more people out working. They're working really long hours, and I'm sure everyone is really appreciative of that. I guess my question is, are those hours going to be reflected on people's bills next month?
Okay, the question is that knowing that there are lots of people out there working lots of long hours, which they're very appreciative of, will that be reflected, those additional hours, on people's bills?
So, no, not next month. So their bills, we have a really good budget this year. Just to remind people, this is the second major event we've had this year. We had a big event in the winter, and now we have another one here. And so those events have cost us, all of our customer owners, additional funds. As the former CFO and now CEO, I've been directing the organization to find ways for us to save and to optimize our cost structure so that we can divert dollars that we had dedicated for certain other projects into these emergency issues. I do not have today a specific number, an estimate of how much these restoration efforts is going to cost. It will come for sure. I can tell you also that my directive will continue to be, let's find other savings, let's find projects that we may be able to defer, delay, or readjust, so that we can absorb this additional cost into the rate structure. Now, at the same time, I want to remind you and our viewers, our customer owners, that we are finishing a 5-year no general rate increase commitment. Our customer owners have experienced 5 consecutive years with no general rate increases. So at some point in the future, we will have to recover a little bit more revenue to continue to invest in our infrastructure and continue to invest in the transformation of the utility. And that may or may not be necessarily tied to this event. So these type of increases will happen in the future, and it's just part of the utility growing and needing to install more infrastructure. We are, from day one of the things that we've learned many years ago with different storms, from day one, all of our crews are instructed to be able to code all of the work they're doing in a way that makes the majority of the eligible costs to be reimbursed by NEMA and FEMA. So we don't know exactly how much will be eligible, but we know we are coding work, we're taking pictures, we're doing everything by the book so that we can maximize any reimbursements that may come from federal emergency management agencies.
So that's a great question. Javier, you may want, because we have new customers in and so forth, that we are a public power and not an investor-owned utility.
That is true. Thank you, Lisa. So I take that a little bit for granted because that's who we are. But I think a good reminder to all of our customer owners: we are not owned by shareholders. We are not owned by private companies. We are owned by the people. So the cost that we pass on to our customer owners, we are an at-cost utility. There are no shares, no dividends that we have to pay to anybody. So we are trying to keep our costs as low as possible so that we can pass those costs on to our customer owners. But there is no one on the other side receiving a dividend or being a shareholder. This is the beauty of public power, that we're really doing this for the benefit exclusively of our customer owners and not having to respond to anybody else other than our customer owners, who are represented by our 8-member board of directors.
As well as Omaha Public Power District, our reliability is one of the top in the region as well.
More questions? Anybody from the audience? Oh, KMTV?
Sorry.
Oh, no, that's okay.
You mentioned NEMA and FEMA. Are you guys in talks with them? Are you in talks with people representing Douglas County, representing
Yep.
Douglas County, to kind of get the ball rolling on those? Because I know it takes quite a bit of time.
The question is, he referenced NEMA and FEMA, and are we in contact with those folks or with Douglas County in terms to maybe get the ball rolling on some of this potential aid?
All
Javier?
of the above. Still too preliminary, too early to tell exactly, but we have been in contact with all 3 agencies, and our teams are getting all that information ready. And at some point, we'll share that information. Right now, my personal focus has been on restoring power, but it's important for me to know that there's a lot of other people at OPPD on the accounting side, on the recovery side, that they are taking care of that and getting that ready.
Are there any more questions? Okay, well, we really want to thank everybody for being out here today. Those who joined us here, those who joined us remotely watching live on OPPD.com. We also want to remind you that you can find updates at www.stormandoutage.com, and is spelled out. So we'll keep updates there for our customers, for the media, and as well as safety tips. And we really want to drive this home. Please, please, please be sure that you stay away from down power lines. Even if you think that it's been long enough where that power line surely has been de-energized, well, you know, the chances of danger are still there. So please, if you see something down, call OPPD or 911. The number at OPPD is 1-800-554-OPPD 6773 rather. So call us and let us know, and we will address it. But meanwhile, please stay back, far back, at least 30 feet, because these lines could be live, high voltage, and extremely dangerous. And again, we really want to thank you all for joining us today, for watching, and Javier, Steve, for helping answer some of these questions.
Thank you.
Thanks.
Thank you.